My name is Sean Marshall, and today I will be presenting the IntelliSure application. IntelliSure is a highly configurable insurance application designed for the web to support different channels and lines of business. Today's demonstration will provide an overview of the solution and provide an indication of the configurability that can be achieved by combining a best practice approach with an intelligent and dynamic presentation layer. The IntelliSure application is brought together by Intellect Holdings and Idiom, who combine best-of-breed business domain knowledge and technology. It utilizes state-of-the-art technology to apply a series of auto-decisioning techniques in a delivery platform consisting of intelligent web forms. The IntelliSure application is driven by product and channel configurations that reside within tables, and depending on a user profile, business rules will configure the look and feel of web pages, the format of questions that are displayed to the user, the product set which is available to the user, the dynamic behavior of web forms in response to user input, and the underwriting and rating rules that should be applied to each product. To demonstrate how IntelliSure brands each channel, I will now take you through the login process. When the IntelliSure login process is initiated, an Idiom decision model is executed that determines which channel to configure and performs the web form setup with a correctly configured channel look and feel. The Idiom rules that perform the channel configuration consist of a set of formulas that perform configuration table lookups to retrieve the relevant look and feel of assets, and instructs an Idiom forms engine to brand the IntelliSure web forms accordingly. Let's have a look at the formula that sets the channel header image. The formula looks up the name of the banner image in the configuration table for the channel, in which case this is the organization table, and returns this to the forms engine. The rules in this decision model also configure the footer image and the relevant policy docs which are attached to the application lifecycle. The look and feel of an IntelliSure web form interface can be altered dynamically by simply changing the values in the appropriate configuration tables. I'll now go and open the configuration table in which we have stored the image for the header of the channel. Here we can see that we are currently using Forrester Header 2 as the image for the channel header. By simply changing this to another image, I'll rename this image to Forrester Header 1, saving it, and then redeploying the change configuration, we will see the banner image change on the channel that we have logged into. I'll now log in again and we can compare the two banner images. We can now see that the banner image has changed. Whereas previously it was this image, we have now changed it to this second image here. I will now complete the quote application form, after which we'll proceed to the quote results page. Once we arrive there, I will begin to describe how the rating rules are configured for the channel. Following the completion of a quote in IntelliSure, the applicant is presented with a product rating, which is again calculated using an Idiom rules engine. The rules work by identifying a base rating factor, for instance, a sum insured in this formula here, or an annual salary, and apply a set of factors in a configured order. Rules themselves are structured by channel and product. IntelliSure rating rules follow a common pattern of decisioning. In the smoke rate formula, the rule first checks a configuration table to determine if the rating should be applied. The configuration table in this case is the apply factor table. Here we have factors configured by channel and by product, and a flag denoting whether they should be applied or not. Once we have received an affirmative from the configuration tables that we should apply this factor, we then go and look up the factor percentage inside of the smoker rate configuration table. Here the rates are further configured by product and channel, and each of them have a rate which is to be applied during the rating calculation. As you can see, Factors are configured by channel and by product, which allows new factors to be added easily for each new product without negatively impacting existing products. What I will do now is go and add a new rating rule to this decision model to demonstrate how easy it is to make rule changes and deploy these changes. The rule I will add will be a simple rule which will execute at the end of the factor list, which will simply double the calculated weekly premium. To do this, I will create a new decision in the decision model, which I will call double it, and attach this to the decision group which is performing the rating calculations. I will then create a new formula on this decision, which will simply take the weekly premium value and multiply it by a factor of 2. Now what I'd like to do before I deploy this change is actually check that the changes we have made are going to work. So what I'm going to do is open a test document which contains a rating in line with the previous weekly rating that we calculated, and check that if by running through this decision model once again that we change the rating to what we expect, which would be double the amount of $48.98. To do this, I use the Inline testing tool. I open up a previously existing XML test document, which could be obtained from the production system. I'll shrink it so that it's easier to work with. And if we look at the weekly premium that's currently being calculated by the production system, you can see that it's $48.98. Now let's run our decision model with the new changes in it to check whether our changes have had effect. To do this, I will simply run the inline debugger. And then I will check the results inside of the XML policy document. Here we can see now that the new rating is 97.97, which is the desired result. I will now redeploy these rules and then log in and perform the same rating, and we should see the changes show up in the application. I will deploy the rating decision model. Let's log in now and see the changes in the application rating results. Let's complete the form as before. And now you can see we have a rating factor of 97.97 on the result, which means that our deployed rule has taken place. I'll now proceed back to the Decision Manager, where I'll demonstrate another feature of the Idiom Decision Manager, which is the ability to document the decisions which have been built in a logical English format. The logical English can be generated at a formula level, or for a set of rules at the decision model level, or if required for an entire rules repository. I'll now go and select the Documenter icon, and this will generate a PDF document which will reflect the logical English representation of all the rules and decisions inside of this decision model. We will also be able to look up the rule that we just constructed a moment ago and view the details for that rule. We can also view the logical English version of a rule at the formula level, as I mentioned just previously, but in addition to that, we can also view a pseudo-logical implementation of the rule in a tree format. These documents can be published to subject matter experts and back to business requirements teams for cross-checking with traceability matrices to ensure that we've actually completed the required set of decisioning. I'll now push past the quote process into the application form so that I can demonstrate a new concept which we call reflexive questioning. IntelliShow web pages developed using Idiom forms have the ability to integrate with Idiom rules that can run in real time or as a post action. In this manner, IntelliShow can dynamically alter the contents of a web page in response to context changes, e.g., for instance, with the user answering a question. This is called reflexive questioning. If I go back to windows I've opened previously, we can see how reflexive questioning or reflexive changing of the form has been implemented for different channels inside of the product selection. Here inside of the insurer product selection, the choices are different to those available for the retail selection. Also, by utilizing reflexive questioning, question narrative on an IntelliShare web form can be changed and presented in a context-sensitive manner. When a form loads, rules retrieve the associated configurations and set label text for each field to the configured question text, which we can see here on the residency question. This valuable feature allows a business to present its offering to context and situation-aware channels and perhaps different user communities. In this case, there may be some sensitivity to an applicant's origin and demographic. I'll go back to the application that we were working with previously to demonstrate some further implementations of reflexive questioning. IntelliShare web forms allow electronic underwriting decisions to be presented in real time to a user in response to a post or submit action. Real-time reflexive questioning can be used to determine if an applicant falls within the boundaries of a risk or that they can be covered by a select product. If the applicant does not comply with nominal criteria, e.g. in this example the applicant has past criminal convictions, a business rule is fired to return an appropriate context response and to escalate the application request to a subject matter expert or a case officer. Idiom forms employ AJAX technology to perform interactive question and answer responses, but unlike typical AJAX implementations, Idiom forms integrates with the Idiom rules engine to allow responses and form interactions to be controlled by business rules. I'm now going to push past this page so that I can show you a further implementation of reflexive questioning. Reflexive questioning allows IntelliShare web forms to intelligently inquire in ever-increasing layers of detail where exceptional circumstances exist. Here, an applicant has indicated that they suffer from a respiratory condition, the answer in turn causes the form to dynamically expand to allow the applicant to specify which respiratory condition they suffer from. For example, asthma or bronchitis or emphysema. When the applicant chooses asthma, the form expands further to present questions specific to the applicant's condition. The frequency of symptoms and how asthma affects their work is part of the data that we then collect based on the applicant's previous condition. This approach to collecting risk data allows the IntelliShare application to present only the questioning that is relevant to an applicant for their circumstance. The topmost screenshot over here of the IntelliShare Health tab shows the questioning presented to an applicant with no pre-existing conditions, which we can see is a lot shorter. These circumstances differ significantly from the question set presented to an applicant with pre-existing medical conditions and will allow us to underwrite this cover a lot faster. I will now proceed through the form such that we can receive a post-action underwriting decision. Here we can see now that the application has been referred based on answer that we've given to questions previously. Idiom can perform both real-time and post-action decisioning. Where we need to complete a process that is a set of data collections, Idiom can be called at the end of the process in order to perform some decisioning based on the data that has been collected. Thank you very much for attending this demonstration session.